welcome to part 3 of this Pilates Matwork session where we're working into the hips. We're going to do some really nice gentle movements now, slowing the pace right down and focusing on lovely precision of movement and opening the hips with some lovely lateral and medial rotations. So start off on your back into relaxation position. Make sure you have appropriate head support, pelvis in a neutral position, feet hip width apart and parallel, the arms either lengthening to your sides, palms down, or you can have the palms up and maybe the arms a little wider to your sides, just really encouraging you to open and relax the chest and the shoulders. Let's start with our pelvic tilts, north to neutral. So you're going to gently tilt the pelvis towards your face by pressing your lower back into the mat. You're keeping the bottom more or less on the floor, the pubic bone is coming towards the breastbone. Then you release the pelvis back to neutral. Breathe out as you go to the north, and breathe in as you release to neutral. We'll do a few more sets, encouraging that lovely movement into the lower back, coming from a neutral curve into flexed spine, just a very gentle spinal flexion. As the pelvis tilts posteriorly towards the face, feel that connection through the front of the body, the tummy drawing towards the spine. Now on the next tilt to the north, keep your pelvis tilted to the north and open your knees apart, just as wide as they can comfortably go. Then let the pelvis release to neutral and bring your knees all the way together, touching the knees, connecting the inner thighs. We breathe out, tilt the pelvis to the north. Breathe in, knees open out. Breathe out, release the pelvis to neutral. Breathe in, bring the knees back together. So these are our lovely butterfly legs. You might notice, or you might see in my body, as the knees drop out, and when the pelvis returns to neutral, there's just a little bit more space for the legs to rotate laterally. We'll do one more in this direction. Now, keep your knees together for a moment, pelvis in neutral. Then I want you to open your knees wide, then tip your pelvis to the north. Then bring your legs together and release to neutral. Breathe in, open the knees. Breathe out, tip the pelvis to the north. Breathe in, connect the knees. Breathe out, release. So we'll do 3 more sets here, moving at your own pace. So encouraging that lovely rotation out and then in of your thigh bones inside your hips. And thinking of that relationship between the thigh bones and your hip sockets, and the pelvis and the lower back. When you've finished, bring your knees just back to hip width apart for a moment, pelvis in neutral, and let's bring your feet a little wider apart, just ever so slightly wider. We're going to come into spine curls now, adding in just a medial rotation rather than going wide with the knees. So again, lovely open shoulders and heavy through the chest. We're going to start with that pelvic tilt. So the pelvis comes to the north, we lift the bottom, little squeeze in the bum as it rises up and peel the lower back away from the floor, bone by bone by bone. At the top, the knees roll in towards one another, find that connection between the inner thighs and then roll yourself back down, bone by bone by bone. Release the pelvis to neutral. Let the legs return to parallel. Breathe out, come to the north. Lift your bum, lift your spine. Breathe in, knees together. Breathe out, roll back down, keeping that connection between the inner thighs and the knees. When you get to the bottom, pelvis releases, legs to parallel. And we'll do 3 more sets. What we're trying to do here is to open the back of the pelvis. Feel the sit bones going wider towards your heels as you bring your knees together and roll down, and then they return to parallel position as you parallel the legs. Last one to finish. Keep that weight into the chest. And as you come all the way back this last time, pelvis releases, legs release. And you can give your legs a stretch if you need to release the hamstrings, or you can give your knees a little hug towards your chest, whatever feels nicer for your body. From there, come back to parallel feet, parallel knees, hip width apart, and the pelvis, the spine in neutral. We're going to come into a very tiny pelvic tilt to the east and the west, a little hip roll, but we're going to use the leg to help us to get to that position, and just one leg at a time. So as we move, for example, the right leg, try and keep that left knee pointing up to the ceiling. So lovely wide arms this time. Take them either up to T position or a slightly lower B position. Palms turn up and heavy across the backs of the shoulders and the head. Right leg comes into a knee fold position. Turn your thigh bone out inside the hip. So the right foot points to the left knee, the right knee points to the right elbow. Now let your leg open out to the side as far as it comfortably can. At the moment the pelvis is still in neutral. Now let the pelvis tip over to the right. Left hip rises, right hip sinks. But try and keep that left knee and the left shoulder nice and still. Now come back with the pelvis, pulling that left hip back down. Then bring your thigh bone back above the hip. Leg comes to parallel and you place the foot back into the floor. We'll swap to the other side and we'll do 2 more sets after this next one. So we rotate out. Leg goes out to the side, almost the knee towards the left elbow. When the leg can't go anymore, tip the pelvis over to the left. Hold that right shoulder, the right knee as still as you can. Come back with the pelvis, then back with the thigh. The knee comes parallel, the foot rests. Just breathe naturally as you do this movement and watch that you don't hold the breath, but make sure you are breathing. Lovely, deep, wide breaths, helping you to find that movement in the body. We're really trying to open out the hips in relation to the pelvis and getting that lovely little hip roll from side to side. Much smaller hip roll than we would normally achieve. Last one to each side. So you're keeping the pelvis as still as you can for as long as you can, and then the left bottom cheek rises up as you roll onto the right bottom cheek. Come back from the left and bring the leg back to the center. Last one to the other side. When you finish your last set, bring your arms to your sides. Bring your legs one at a time into a double knee fold position. Feet together, knees together. Grab hold of the tops of your knees. Draw the knees towards your body, rounding your lower back into the mat. Almost feel your bum lifts off the floor. Open your knees out, the feet can come with you, and then draw some little circles. Let the pelvis tip back and forth, let your spine round and then come back to neutral. So you're getting a lovely little massage for your back on the mat. You could then reverse the circles. Just keep hold of the knees, keep the legs as relaxed as you can inside your hips. Don't straighten the legs, drop the thighs into your hips. And when you finish this last circle, stay in a double knee fold. We're going to finish off with another little challenge. It's our double leg stretch. We'll start with stage 1 and then work our way up to stage 3, depending on how your body feels. So keeping the feet connected together, open the knees apart. We're going to start off just with the leg movement. So let's bring the hands behind the head for a moment and gently bring yourself into a curl up position. Now we're going to let go of the head, hopefully hold it there with our neck muscles and our tummy muscles, hands onto the tops of the knees. As the legs straighten in front of us, the arms pull down towards the mat, and then bend the knees, grab hold of the legs. Breathe in to straighten, breathe out to bend. Now the legs can go quite high to the ceiling if that feels better for your backs, or you can make the legs go a little lower to the floor, more challenging for the abdominals. Breathe in, breathe out. Last one. Rest your head, keep the legs where they are. Give them a hug if you need to. Roll your head from side to side if you need to. Now let's add in the arms. Well, practice the arm movement, but keep your legs still. So come back to that double knee fold position, knees apart, feet together. Take your hands behind your head, bring yourself back into that curl up. Hands onto the tops of the legs, holding the curl up. Arms go up to the ceiling and then around and back onto your knees. Breathe in to go up, breathe out to come around. Try not to let the arms go behind the head because that will definitely strain the neck. And remember to keep looking down to your pelvis rather than up to the knees. This is our last one. Rest your head, hug your knees, and if you need to, give your head a gentle roll from side to side. So, final little challenge, stage 3. We combine the legs and the arms together. When you're ready, come back into your double knee fold, knees apart, feet together. Hands behind the head. We'll bring ourselves into one last curl up. So once you're up, hands onto the sides of the legs, and as you breathe in, legs straight forwards together, arms to the ceiling. Breathe out, circle the arms, bend the knees. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Keep looking down the body, drawing the tummy to your spine. We'll do 3 more. Last one. Rest your head, draw the legs towards the body, gently rock the spine, releasing any tension through the lower back. Feet can come down when you're ready, arms can come down, and then roll your head gently from side to side, letting go of any tension in your neck. We are finished with stage 3, or part 3. One last little session to go. Part 4, we're going to work on our sides. Having mobilized into the hips, we're now going to strengthen around them with some side lying work. So I'll see you for part 4 in a moment. Well done so far, you're doing brilliantly.